Okay, YouTube, in this video we're going to be focusing on what we refer to as conditional relative frequencies. And so up until now, we've been exploring these two-way tables and using them to calculate what we refer to as both joint and marginal relative frequencies, which are really fancy words for saying, you know, given a situation where we know exactly how many things occurred and in which categories here, you know, how likely is it that just an individual category occurs? And so what we see here is that our joint relative frequencies, for example, are just the total number of things that occur in each event divided by the total overall number. And so, for instance, in our last table, we had 25 out of 181, gave us about a 13.8 chance that, say, a freshman attends some concert here. But essentially, we were able to construct this entire table by taking all of our values in the table, all of our frequencies, and dividing them by 181. In this video, we're going to focus on what we refer to as a conditional relative frequency. And this is different. This is way different, as a matter of fact, from the joint relative frequency and the marginal relative frequency. So we refer to the conditional relative frequency as the ratio of a joint relative frequency to the marginal relative frequency. So when we talk about where these things lie, essentially what we're going to be doing is taking the joint relative frequency, or just take the probability in any of these individual bubbles, and what we're going to do is we're going to divide it by the marginal relative frequency. And so essentially what we would be finding if I were to take, say, 0.138 divided by 0.580, it would basically be like saying, of those people who attended, how many were freshmen? We could say, well, 0.138 out of 0.580, that would be the percentage of overall. Notice, though, that we could take this joint relative frequency and divide it by this outside marginal relative frequency. And in that particular case, we would be asking, of the freshmen, of all of these freshmen right here, essentially what percentage of them attended the concert. So a little bit different question. Instead of those who attended, how many were freshmen, it's of those who were freshmen, how many or what percentage attended. So we're going to look at how to construct a conditional relative frequency from this table. So the first thing I'm going to do essentially is reconstruct the table that we've already had here, except for this time what we're going to do is we're going to drop in our percentages. And so we would say attends, not attending. We have freshmen, and sophomores, okay? But with our frequencies here, now looking at our frequencies, we could say that this is a total, this is marginal out here on the margin. We would say that we got a 0.138 probability here, a 0.243 probability here for a combined probability of about 38.1% of the total amount of people. And then over here we'd say we got 0.444, so we say 0.444. This one here was a probability of 0.177. If we sum those up, we get roughly here 0.619. And down here we would say our marginal relative frequencies down here look like we had 0.580, we have 0.420, and then 100% of the stuff down here. So now with respect to a conditional relative frequency, what we're attempting to do here is this. We want to make a two-way table, but that shows the conditional relative frequency based on the row totals. So when we talk about row totals, one thing I want to kind of highlight here is this. We're making these conditional relative frequencies based upon the row totals. And so essentially a conditional relative frequency says, we know what we're going to do. We're going to take everything in this particular row and we're going to divide it out by the row total. You know, in this case it'd be 0.381. And then over here we'd say 0.381. Down here in this row we'd say 0.444. We're going to divide that by 0.619, which was the row total. And we're going to divide this here by 0.619, which is our row total. So essentially what we're going to be doing is kind of, you know, getting some new values here. And so I'll switch colors. Of course, I would say that you should probably write a lot smaller than I'm writing. But we would say when we take, say for instance here, 0.138. Let me get my calculator out here. We say, let's take our 0.138 divided by our 0.381. We end up with our conditional relative frequency, and our conditional relative frequency for those who attended of the freshmen is 0.362. So I'm going to put 0.362 right here, and that's what this is equal to. Let's take our 0.243. 0.243 divided by 0.381, and we get about 0.638-ish, so 0.638-ish. Okay. Down here we'll take our 0.444, so we say 0.444 divided by 0.619. we end up with a conditional relative frequency of 71.7%, so about 0.717. And then we'd say down here, when we take 0.177 divided by 0.619, so we'd say clear, 0.177 divided by 0.619, we get roughly 0.286-ish, so 0.286-ish. So with respect to these probabilities right here, let's interpret them, but what it is that we just found. By taking the percentage of freshmen who attended and dividing it by the total number of freshmen, essentially what we're saying is, of the freshmen that attended, of the freshmen, 36.2% of them attended and 63.8% of them did not attend. And then down here, by taking these relative frequencies, these joint relative frequencies, and dividing it by the marginal relative frequency here, we basically say of the total sophomores, 71.7% did attend and 28.6% of them did not attend. So that's essentially what we're finding when we talk about